Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite countries to visit during the off-season and some of the benefits for booking travel during the off-peak season. So if you're curious about what countries you should be considering for off-peak season travel, stay tuned because I have all that and so much more in this video. Welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. I'm Andrea, and this is Andrea Beyond Borders. Today I'm going to be sharing with you off-season travel locations that I like to travel to. This is actually one of my solo travel hacks when considering where I want to go, especially as a solo traveler. Traveling in the off-season has been a huge benefit for me. One, first and foremost, being the cost. The price to travel in off-season is a lot cheaper, both from flights as well as hotels. Also, the city seems to open up more to me in an off season. When it's filled with tons of tourists during the travel peak season, you don't really get to see the country like I think you really would want to. And so going when there's less people populating the area, I feel like folks are less heightened, they're more relaxed, they're more casual and have more time for you when you're traveling abroad during these off-peak seasons. And you just get to see a lot more, in my personal opinion. And because you get to see more, you have a more authentic experience abroad. So those are just some of the reasons that I really like to travel abroad. So let's be specific. Let's talk about what countries I like to travel to in the off-peak season. When do I consider them off-peak season? What you could potentially save by traveling during these off-peak seasons. But before we get into that, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel. This is a channel that's talking all things travel. I do vlogs, travel news, smart travel, which is this video here, as well as travel essentials. If you're looking to inform yourself about travel, whether it's through my experience or some of the hacks and information that I share, this is the channel for you. So go ahead and subscribe down below. Make sure you like and drop me a comment. Let me know you stopped by. I love to see, I've seen a couple of new subscribers, so hello to the new Globetrotties. Thank you for subscribing. I love to hear from you all and see when you have subscribed. It warms my heart, but it also lets me know that I'm providing you information and content that you're looking for. So that's all I have for that. Let's get into this video already. Shall we? Okay, number one on the list, London. I had to put London number one because London is where I got my solo international traveling chops. That is where I cut my teeth. It's the first country I've explored internationally, and I did go with someone, but when I decided to travel solo on my own, London was one of the countries that I went to for the first time by myself. And I've always traveled to London in off-peak season. I don't know if I just kind of knew, if I just had like the travel insights and just guru information, but traveling to London for me has always been awesome in like September, October. One, it is not the peak season for London. As a matter of fact, it's transitioning into fall winter. I'm actually a fall winter girly anyways. I'm from Los Angeles. We tend to get heat all year long. So I actually don't mind wearing a nice trench coat and a scarf. And I love the change in the color in leaves and things like that. So going to Europe in the fall is always a nice treat for me. So London is actually one of the first places I have on my list. The other thing about London too is London's really expensive all year long, in my opinion. If you're from the United States, I would liken London to New York City. New York City is very expensive to stay in New York City, and especially if you're flying from LA to New York, it's very expensive, and that's kind of how London is for me. On the more cost-efficient side, I would see hotels ranging from like about $250 up, and I would say those are like 4-star hotels. 5 stars are going to be similar to your New York hotel prices. So trying to stay within budget and not go over around $250, $260. I like to go to London in October because I do see a lot of deals around that price range. Going in the summertime or in the late spring, you're going to see those prices go up even more. It's perfect walking weather. It's not humid, it's not hot. I've gone to London in October and September several times, and majority of the times it was gloomy. I don't think I saw a blue sky day, so if you're a person that really needs a blue sky, this probably isn't the time of the year to go for you. But in terms of like raining, I think we've only had, or I say we, but I think I've only had like rain once. And I say we, it's because I went with someone at that particular time and it rained when we were leaving to go to another country. So while we were there, it was great. It was just, you know, trench coat weather, nice scarf, light sweater, nothing too much to pack. In terms of clothes, you definitely don't need a coat. You don't need a heavy coat. No, you don't need a puff coat or a wool heavy coat. Like a light rain trench coat would be sufficient for London in September, October. But like I said, hadn't really experienced rain, but do bring your umbrella because it is a rainy city. It is the cutest city to just kind of like let your hair down and just woo-saw. The past few times that I've gone to London, I've literally just been like a local. I like to say a local in the city. And what I mean by that is they have such charming pubs and restaurants. Last time I went, there was this wine bar. It was like a wine bar, and it was an Italian chef from Italy who had opened up this wine bar. It was very small, very quaint. He made fresh pasta right in front of you, and so I was able to have some fresh pasta, a nice glass of wine, and it's just the cutest little thing to just be able to stroll through London and pop into stores and just restaurants and just be free, you know? And so I really love that. If you're a first-time person going to London, you still have that same charm. It's even better because there's not as many tourists in the fall as there are during the warmer months. If this is your first time watching my video, then I'd like to introduce you to my Viator tour shop. I'm an affiliate of Viator, and so I have a tour shop. These tours are tours that I've gone on, and so I'm sharing them with you all. All you have to do is click the link down in the description box and you'll see a list of all the tours that I've been on that you can purchase for yourself. One that I would highlight for London is the Stonehenge, Bath, and Salisbury tour. That tour is really, really cute. Love, 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 love it. And so you can book your tour yourself. You just click on it and then they tell you where to meet for the tour, and you are off to discover parts of England that you probably would not have discovered before. You go on the tour, it's not as many people. You get a more intimate tour experience. Okay, let's move on to our next city. Lisbon, Portugal. Oh, I don't know anyone who's gone to Lisbon, Portugal and does not love it. So one particular trip, I decided to go to London, my second favorite, Morocco, which we'll get to a little bit later. And I said, hey, well, since I'm in Morocco, I don't want to make this trip all about countries that I've already explored. I want to always try to get at least one new country in when I go across international waters. And so I said, okay, I've never been to Portugal. It's right across from Morocco. Let me try Portugal. Wouldn't you know it, Portugal would then be added to my favorite list. And so now I've been to Portugal many times now. First of all, these people know how to live, okay? When I go to Lisbon, Portugal, there is one particular hotel that I must stay in, and I stay every time I go to Lisbon. And guess what? I have a treat for you. I will be doing a room tour in February. As a matter of fact, February for me is going to be the month of Lisbon, Portugal. I have a vlog coming out of me in Lisbon. Also some amazing restaurants that I've eaten at in Lisbon. 2 restaurants that I return to every time I go to Portugal, Lisbon specifically. So make sure you tune in February for my Lisbon vlogs, which will come out every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. But back to off-season, Lisbon, yes. Lisbon is the kind of city where it's such a romantic city. It's a city you walk freely in, carefree. Culture in Lisbon is just to really enjoy life and enjoy people. Second time I went to Lisbon, my hotel room had a balcony facing the main boulevard. So I went out on the balcony and I was just, looking down, and I saw that there was live music and people were just dancing dancing on the cobblestone, and it's like a little courtyard area, which you all will see. I'm not even gonna tease you with footage because I want you to watch the videos that come out next week. But they were just dancing and having a good time, and I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? Is this some kind of festival? What is this? So I go downstairs and I go to talk to the people at the front desk, and I ask them like, hey, what's going on? Is there a festival outside? There's music, people are dancing, you know, on the cobblestone area. And they said, oh no, we do this all the time. There's no festival. We just play music and dance. I said, but there's no reason, we're just dancing in the streets. It's like, yeah, we do this all the time. I thought that was just too cute. That's too cute. Lisbon, you're too cute. And I mean, we're talking old, young, and everything in between. It was just, everyone was out there drinking coffee, having a little treat, some people dancing, some people talking. Like, it's just, oh, it's so charming. And the weather. Oh, Portugal is one of those places where they have great weather all year long. It's not like LA per se in terms of weather, but it is pretty great weather. Like I don't believe that it snows in Lisbon at all. One, because the last time I went there, it was in March, I think it was, and I was out in the water in a boat. Okay, so no rain in sight, blue skies, just beautiful weather. So, and that's an off-peak season as well. It's not a lot of people in Lisbon in March. Also, I've gone in October. Again, that's an off-peak season. There's not a lot of people. I mean, there are a lot of people. It's a populated city, but in terms of like being inundated with travelers and tourists, those are off-peak seasons. It feels very mild and it feels very normal. So I would say for Lisbon, Portugal, you're definitely wanting to look anywhere between like March to May. I think it starts to kick up in May. And then I would say anywhere between like September, October, November. Those are good times to go to Lisbon, and it's also the off-peak season. In terms of how much is it gonna cost? The hotel I stayed at is in the Lisboa area. It's on Liberdale. It's right amongst all of the shopping. So I think it might have been like, I feel like it was around the 230 something, between 230, 275. And that's probably the average cost per night for a hotel there. And I find that to be really good, especially given the area. The area is really nice where I stay. And there's restaurants, it's just so convenient. It is like the most convenient place. So I think it's definitely worth it considering all of the amenities that are around, not to mention the hotel itself. Great weather. I think a denim jacket is probably all you really need for either month. Maybe an umbrella just in case it rains, but at the same time, I believe the hotel provides you with an umbrella. Yeah, the food is really good in Lisbon. I just think you are able to really see the city and do it at your own pace. That's the thing. You don't feel rushed to do anything. Let's move on to our next country. Nice and Cannes, France. Now those are two different cities. So there's Nice and then there's Cannes. So both cities are very near each other. They're on the French Riviera, and it is the south of France. Love. Now I went to Nice and Cannes only once, and that was during the month of October. The weather was nice, but it did rain. So Cannes is stone throw away from Nice. As a matter of fact, in order to get to Cannes, I have to fly into Nice. So from Nice, I drive to Cannes and then stay right in the film festival area of Cannes. I booked a tour, again, through Viator, which is down in my description box. And the tour that I booked was really cool. It was the Nice, Cannes, and Monaco tour. Monaco is a tiny country right there in the same vicinity, and so the tour takes you to all three locations. It also takes you to a perfume factory, which was really, really cool, and you get to go through the factory, make your own scents, etc. So that was a really cool tour, and that is in my shop as well. And so yeah, it was just a lovely day. I didn't go out on the water, but I could have, because the day that I did the tour was lovely, and majority of the days that I was in the south of France was really nice. But one day in particular, it liked rain, like torrential rain. So, and it just came out of nowhere. Like I literally was eating on the patio of this restaurant and just having a really good time, and the next thing I knew, it was pouring and I had to run back to my hotel, which was not far from the restaurant. But I thought that was fun anyways. So it was a memory, it was an experience, and yeah, it was really nice. Tons of shopping. Cannes reminded me of Rodeo Drive, like Rodeo Drive, Santa Monica, and Marina del Rey all wrapped into one. Oh, let's sprinkle in a little bit of Beverly Hills in there. So yes, I think Cannes is definitely on the list. Nice is definitely on the list. Both of them are definitely on the list for off-peak season, and off-peak season for those cities I would say would be October. Keeping in mind that there are rains that can come out of nowhere and just hit you. This is the Mediterranean area, so the rains can come from anywhere, but definitely one on my list. Let's move on to our next country. I mentioned it earlier, Brussels, Belgium. Oh, Brussels, Belgium. I only been there once, and I really need to get back because I only spent like a few days in Brussels, and one of those days was like a 10-hour tour. Again, a tour I've purchased through Viator, down in the description box. But and that tour was fabulous. That, if you're interested, the tour I took in Brussels was the Brussels, Luxembourg, Deneau, and there was one more city, I can't remember, but yeah, it was a multi-city tour, but it also added Luxembourg, the country, as well, and it was just, oh, great, amazing. I went there in October. You'll notice that I tend to travel in October, anywhere between September, October, and then also around March, April, because I typically go on a trip for my birthday. So that's why I like to go in the spring as well. But those are off-peak seasons, so it works out either way. So if I can't go in October, then I usually plan to go in the spring, early spring. So Brussels, ooh, Brussels. So Brussels has an amazing market. I think it's called, oh, what is it called? The marketplace? No, it's not called a marketplace. I'll have to look it up and put it on the screen because it slips my mind what the name of this, like I don't want to say downtown, but just like, it's like a city center. It's a city center, that's what it is. It's a city center, and this is something that's very traditional to New Yorkers. This is something that's very traditional to the cities that I've traveled to in Europe. One of the reasons I really like going to Europe is because I feel like people enjoy life. And I'm not saying that Americans don't enjoy life, but we spend a lot of our days in work, and then we work hard to play hard, but play hard is like that one little vacation that we take for 2-3 weeks, whatever it might be, you know, to another state, another country, and then we're back to consuming our days full of work from morning to night, then in rush hour traffic, and so on and so forth. If you're an American, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But in Europe, it doesn't work that way. Like I said, in Portugal, remember I mentioned the people dancing in the streets all days of the week, listening to music, having some coffee, when I would be at home like, oh, I gotta start another work day. Let me cook dinner and get things going so I can plan for the next day. No, folks are out in Europe, and that's the same in Brussels. In the city center, people are eating dinner, they're drinking coffee, they're smoking, because they do like their cigarettes in Brussels. So keep that in mind, and also the proximity to space. Let me mention that. Let's put a pin in this real quick. For solo travelers traveling to Europe, keep in mind that the proximity to the next person is very different in Europe than it is in America. In America, we give people space, but typically I think we're at least a 3-foot space, 3 foot, 4 feet apart in a line. Not in Europe. They're going to be right up on you in the queue. That's what they call the lines, queues. They're gonna be right up on you. Or if you're sitting at a patio dining table outside to eat, and let's say there's a row of empty tables and maybe you are towards the end of the row, one would think, an American would think that if someone was going to come and eat, they'd go sit in one of the tables down where there's no one sitting. No, not in Europe. They come and sit right next to you. Right next to you, in the table right next to you. And you will look like, okay, I know there's all those seats available, but you wanted to sit right here up underneath me with your cigarette? Really? But that's just the way they are. They sit very close to each other. They move with each other, you know, even though they don't know each other. And I think it's really cute, but at the same time, it's just like, as an American, we like our space, right? So we're like, if there's an opportunity to give space, you give space, but it's not like that there. But yeah, that's really cute to me. Walking around, having food, going into stores. There's tons of stores in the city center, marketplace, and it's just a really cute place to eat. You can get fresh waffles and fruit. Oh my goodness, the waffles were so good. So delicious. Fresh chocolate, Belgian chocolate, right? So yes, there's so much you can do in Brussels, including tours, etc. And it's really nice to do it in the fall. Now, in terms of the weather, I will say that there were days that looked like it was going to rain, so it was very similar to London's weather, where it was very overcast, which is a little bit different than the south of France. It rained that one day in Cannes. However, majority of the days were blue skies. Like, it was just straight blue skies in Cannes and Nice, except for the night that it rained, obviously. But I will say, when I was in Belgium in October, it was pretty much blue sky. It was pretty much gray skies. All right, let's move on to I didn't talk hotels. Sorry, hotels. I was able to get a really nice hotel, really inexpensive. Like, I think the hotel was like 130 or something. Now, keep in mind, when I went to Brussels, going to Brussels was before the pandemic. So I don't know if prices are still the same. But yeah, it was like under $130, and it was a really nice hotel. I'm in the process of working on travel guides for you all. So if you're looking to go to Brussels, or if you're looking to go to London, or any of the places that I've gone to, I am putting together a guide that will tell you, hey, here's where I stayed, here's the trains that I use, here's how you get by on taxi, here's some of the activities that you can do. I'm putting all those things together. So I'll have all that information when I'm ready to launch. All right, and you know we had to save the best for last. Can anyone guess what's the last country? If you know me, you know the country. It's Morocco. Yay! So Morocco, I've always gone to Morocco in March and October, and sometimes in March and October. So March and October. First of all, Morocco is very much like California. In terms of the weather, the terrain is also very similar. It's just the dirt is red. We do have some clay dirt in California, but not so much, not as much as Morocco. So the great thing about Morocco, similar to California, you can get a little bit of everything in March or April, or I should say in March or October. I've gone in March and the mountaintops are full of snow, just like in LA. Our mountaintops are full of snow, although we're in a drought season right now, so there isn't any snow, but our mountaintops are full of snow, similar to Morocco. And then the valley, which is Marrakesh, is warm. It's great weather. It can be anywhere between 70 and 90 degrees in March. Definitely in October. October's not even 70, don't even think about that. In October, we're talking 90 to 100, and these are all in Fahrenheit degrees. So October, November, it's hot. It's hot. So make sure you're bringing clothes for warm weather. In March, April, the weather is really mild. It's nice in Marrakesh. So I would say anywhere between like 70, 80, maybe there might be a 90 day, but not so much. The weather is literally perfection in Marrakesh. When you look at beach cities like Casablanca and Tangier, those cities are gonna be a little bit cooler, maybe like 10, 15 degrees cooler. Again, very similar to LA. The San Fernando Valley is going to be like Marrakesh, where you're in your 80s, 90s, and 100s in October. But then if you go down to Casablanca, Tangier, similar to Santa Monica, Venice, Malibu, it is going to be a lot cooler. So you're talking like 15, 20 degrees cooler, definitely manageable. Casablanca sometimes has a little bit of humidity, but nothing like the South in America, nothing like the South. It is just a little bit of beach humidity, but nothing like a Houston or Miami, Florida, nothing like that. In terms of cost, this is where you're going to get your bang for your buck. It is, well, Morocco's actually kind of getting up there. They're starting to charge a lot more for things, which I've been noticed over, I would say, the past 5 years. They are charging more money for stuff. So they use dirhams in Morocco, so $1 would be equal to about 10 dirhams. And that sounds great, but then they just charge you more dirhams, so it's kind of the equivalent to however many American dollars we would typically pay for something. You have to kind of keep that in mind, but you still have like an opportunity to negotiate, you know, throughout Morocco. In terms of tourism, it is definitely not anything like it is during the high peak seasons. Now, high peak seasons for Morocco is a little bit different than it is in Europe, because you got to remember, Morocco is almost like to Europe what our Hawaii or the Jamaica or the Bahamas are to us in the States. That's where they can get to for warmer climate weather when it is cold during their season. So off-peak time frames are going to be right before the winter seasons. So September, October, you're good, but be careful because it's going to start ramping up. March is perfect. If you're looking at March and April, those are perfect times to go to Morocco. It is definitely down. But here's another thing you have to keep in mind. If you're looking to go to Morocco during March or April, you just want to make sure you know when Ramadan is, because that is a religious holiday and a lot of things are really shut down during that time. So you want to make sure you don't miss out on your experience because the country is celebrating Ramadan. So that's just something you want to keep in mind, and that can fluctuate. Every year Ramadan moves to a different time of the year, but it's typically, actually, yeah, it just moves. You need to, you know, kind of look and see when Ramadan will be. In terms of cost to stay, you all have seen, if you have not, make sure you check out my video where I do a room tour of Riyadh Idra. That is where I always stay. Riyadh Idra is, in my opinion, pricey because you can get a Riyadh for like $50 or $70 a night, but I love Riyadh Idra, and that Riyadh Idra is usually around like the $250 price point, so that is considered expensive for a Riyadh because you can get nice Riyadhs that are a lot cheaper. So you know definitely want to explore and do your homework on that when you're researching. In terms of food, it's really inexpensive. You can get breakfast and lunch and dinner really inexpensively, and great food, so your money goes a long way in that sense. And then in terms of the market and shopping, you know, you're going to negotiate your prices, but I think you'll walk away happy with whatever you pay no matter where you go in Morocco. Morocco is definitely a treasure in the off-peak season, so I would highly recommend that you go to Morocco. I'll be going to Morocco this year, and my flight to Morocco is direct to Morocco. I do have a layover in Paris, but my ultimate trip is to go straight to Morocco. Now, normally when I travel to Morocco, I usually am coming into Morocco from another country, whether it be from London or whether it's from Portugal or, you know, just another country that I'm visiting. But this time I'm going straight through. If you are going to a European country, it is pretty inexpensive to fly from, let's say, London, Spain, Portugal to Morocco. So you can build on a trip if you would like. For example, when I flew from Lisbon, Portugal to Morocco, it was about a 45-50 minute flight, and the ticket was under $100. Same for Spain. Well, it depends on what part of Spain you're flying from, but the flight it's a quick flight, and so because it's so quick, it's really cheap as well. So something to keep in mind if you're building your trip in an off-peak season, maybe you want to do multiple countries, and also know that it's really cost efficient to fly from your European countries to Morocco. So let's round this out. Off-peak traveling does not only save on costs, but it also allows you an opportunity to have more cultural experiences and really be able to live and breathe in those nuances of each country. And so I highly suggest, especially if you're a first-time traveler looking to travel solo, looking at off-peak seasons, because you're going to save costs. It's not as crowded in those countries, and there are more opportunities to have authentic experiences. So let me know, are these some countries that you've been looking at exploring? Or if there are any countries that you've explored in off-peak seasons, drop them down below. Let me know which countries you recommend, what time of the year you would recommend to go in, and if you have any deets on the hotels, cost-wise, drop that in there too. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, travel smart, travel far, and I'll see you beyond borders.